All right, that was Vice President JD Vance saying the administration has seen great progress over the last couple of days in ensuring that ceasefire holds in Lebanon. Still, the situation is quite fragile. Joining us now, NBC's chief international correspondent, Keir Simmons in Switzerland. Keir, Vance said it himself, these things are always a little bit messy. So what can we expect in today's talks?
Well, I think it's an interesting way of putting it. Things are a little bit messy. Certainly in Lebanon over the weekend, the Israeli Defense Forces said that 50 projectiles have been fired by Hezbollah on Israel, and the Israelis have been firing on southern Lebanon. And yesterday the report was 16, including 2 children. So clearly Vice President Vance is, I guess, understandably taking an optimistic point of view when he says that this has never been done in history. It has been done in history. There were negotiations here in Switzerland too, primarily actually, for the nuclear deal under President Obama, the JCPOA. That took 2 years. So that, I think, is an important context from the perspective that actually what President Trump's ambitions are here, and you heard it there from the Vice President, are much more than the nuclear deal that President Obama did. They're trying to get things done on nuclear. Clearly they need to clear up the Strait of Hormuz. They're trying to clear things up with Lebanon. They are trying to do it. I mean, it's more than a reset. They're trying to have a completely different relationship with Iran, and so that the idea that will be done in 60 days, that the deadline is 60 days. I should say, of course, that the memorandum of understanding allows that deadline to be extended, and I wouldn't be surprising if that deadline was extended, because, as Vice President Vance says, these things are messy.
Okay, so Iran was not present in the room during the vice president's remarks, and you've learned that a planned handshake and a photo did not happen. Is that right?
Yeah, a diplomat with knowledge of the talks tells me that there was a handshake and a photo op planned between the Iranian and the American delegation, and that the senior members of the Iranian delegation did not want to take part in that. They said there was not time for that. I'll just say that's not surprising. When I speak to people close to the Iranian regime, they say things like, President Trump killed our supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei. So there's a massive amount of mistrust that these two sides are walking into here in this incredibly picturesque setting in Switzerland.
Okay, Keir Simmons for us this morning. Keir, thank you. We appreciate it. All right, let's bring in NBC's Gary Grumbach now. Gary, as these talks are going on, we're hearing from the president.
We are. He is inserting himself into these conversations from Camp David, where he's spending this weekend. As the meeting was going on and getting underway, he posted on Truth Social essentially a threat to the people of Iran, saying Iran must stop immediately their highly paid proxies in Lebanon, he's referring to Hezbollah, from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. Now, he's saying this effectively threatening Iran while J.D. Vance, the vice president, Steve Witkoff, the Middle Eastern envoy, Jared Kushner, are face-to-face with the Iranians inside that room in Switzerland. You've got the Iranian foreign minister right there. I'm not sure if he has Truth Social alerts on his phone, but this is no doubt unhelpful to the entire conversation and to the entire agreement that they're really trying to hammer out here in Switzerland. So getting to this point was precarious enough, right? There was some stops and starts in terms of getting all these leaders to Switzerland, to the same table in the first place. And as you'll remember, there was a marathon talks in April that Vance attended in Islamabad, where he was there for 21 hours in the room with these folks trying to get to a deal, and that was before the MOU even came out. The MOU only came out with the 14-point plan this week. So certainly a lot to hammer out here. Vance said he was focused on 2 big issues, nuclear issues and as it relates to what is going on with Israel and Hezbollah. What you will see, though, in that room, you don't see members of the Israeli delegation. Corey.
All right, Gary, for us at the White House this morning. Gary, we appreciate it. That concludes this breaking news report. Of course, we will have much more coverage ahead online at NBCnews.com. We will continue to update you in the situation in Switzerland as those talks continue.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.